Every once in a while, you have to switch up your normal routine to experience the new and go back to the old. In this case for me, it was a little of both. So let's press start. River City Girls is a modern take on the beat-em-up genre that has roots spanning as far back as the 80s. The world and characters take place in the Kunio-kun franchise, which notable games such as River City Ransom and Super Dodgeball have come from during the age of the NES and the Super Famicom. However, River City Girls itself is a spin-off that stars two high school girls named Misako and Kyoko trying to rescue their boyfriends, Kunio and Riki, stars themselves of past Kunio-kun games, who have been kidnapped. The game spans multiple different locations that the characters must work through by fighting basically everyone in the city, and usually end the location by beating a boss to progress the story. River City Girls is a modern beat-em-up, but does not do too much to push the genre with new ideas or concepts. It would be fair to see this as a negative for the overall game, but I found the game's familiar feel to be welcome and lend well to the overall enjoyment of the game for me personally. You know exactly what you're getting from the game, gameplay-wise, and that allows you to really hone in on your skills and survive longer each area. Difficulty overall is challenging. You have to be mindful of your pacing from each enemy in the game and aware of the overall attack range you possess. It's easy to find yourself being overrun by too many enemies at once and knocked back down as soon as you get up. You have a character level that levels up through EXP acquired by beating enemies, and this increases your stamina and damage. But enemies also get harder as you progress in the game and through the story. Bosses offer even more of a challenge with specific movesets that take some time to get used to and learn. Another important tidbit about leveling is the fact that at certain levels you reach in the game, your character will unlock specific moves that can help in battle in new ways. It's a tried and true method by game developers to attempt to keep a game fresh. Dying in this game can be brutal if you care about collectibles. You earn money in this game by beating enemies or bosses. This money is then in turn used at shops that offer upgrades or food for health. Most items in shops don't give away their benefits or purpose until you purchase them, and that can lead to frustration if you buy one and it turns out to offer minimal benefits. However, as mentioned before, when you die, it becomes harder to pay for these items. Your character loses a significant amount of money when they die, and it feels almost unfair due to the amount of time it takes to recuperate that money back. But if collecting items isn't that big of a deal for you, then it is possible to get through the game without buying anything from shops. This is due to the fact that you will be awarded certain items that you can equip by completing missions and defeating bosses. Speaking of missions and bosses, as I mentioned before, the two main characters, Misako and Kyoko, are trying to get their kidnapped boyfriends back, and to do so they must travel throughout River City and follow paper-thin leads in search of more information on who took their boyfriends. To say the game is loaded with story would be a lie. Each cutscene looks gorgeous in the anime style that the developers chose to go with, and you will occasionally get a comic book style flashback during your time in the game to explain some sort of lore or character relationship, but beyond that the story you receive comes only in small spurts, usually at the beginning and end of the locations you go to. Each boss gets an animated intro that I found was pretty enjoyable, and it was a nice way to better showcase them and who they were. But overall there is not much story to sink your teeth into. Misako and Kyoko are likable characters that you do learn more about background and personality-wise as you play through the game. They are in no way extremely deep characters, and they do come across a little flat in times, but they are presented in a way that isn't annoying, and you don't leave the game hoping to never play as them again. I would have enjoyed the characters being expanded on more than they were, but I still feel like I finished the game knowing who they were and how they differed from each other. They are not carbon copies of one another, and they definitely have their own personalities. The biggest mark I can give the game is the final boss fight. I won't give details on who it is or say what happens during it, but in my opinion, it was way too easy of a final boss fight to end the game, compared to what you fought throughout the game. You expect to face a serious challenge in the final boss in a beat-em-up style game, and you just don't get that from River City Girls' final boss. Now, I know some who have beaten the game and completed it to the end may argue that that's not really the true final boss, but to that I say story-wise it is, and it is way too easy. I enjoyed my time with River City Girls from beginning to end. It was a refreshing jump back into a genre I have not touched in a long while. The game is quirky and fun and knows exactly what it is doing when it comes to being a beat-em-up game. I do wish the story was more expansive in scope, but for a 6-hour game, it's still got enough meat on the bones to tell a story. The final boss fight does put a sour note on the conclusion of the game, but you are quickly greeted with new reasons to jump back into the world. For $30 and for what you get from River City Girls' overall package, it's definitely a game I can recommend for people to play, but I wouldn't blame you for waiting for a sale. Thanks for watching our video. We are Let's Discuss Games, and my name is Aaron. If you're interested in seeing more content in the future or past videos we've made, please consider subscribing to the channel. We've got more games to play, and we're sure you do too. So for now, game over.